I know it stings when she pulls away, when the messages stop, when her silence feels like a rejection. You want to reach out, to explain, to fix what's broken. But here's the truth most men miss. Silence, when used with intention, is power. It's not cold, and it's not a game. It's clarity. The moment you stop trying to be understood, she starts to feel your absence. Not just your words, but your energy, your presence. And the longer you stay silent, the deeper it hits. This video isn't about revenge. It's about self-respect, emotional discipline, and why sometimes your quiet presence leaves the loudest impact. Let's break it down. Number 1. When you say nothing, you say everything. There's a certain kind of power in silence that most men overlook. They feel the gap growing, the unanswered texts, the quiet moments, and they rush to fill it. They send long messages, over-explain, try to fix what may not even be broken. But here's the truth. Not every silence is empty. Sometimes it's the most powerful thing in the room. A man grounded in Stoic strength knows this well. He understands that his silence isn't a void. It's a presence in itself. When you don't react right away, when you resist the urge to explain or pursue, you're not being cold. You're being composed. You're saying without words, I don't chase approval. I'm not shaken by distance. My peace isn't up for negotiation. And that kind of calm is rare. Women notice that. They feel that. Picture this. A room full of chatter. Everyone competing to be heard, to be right, to be seen. And then there's one man leaning quietly against the wall. Calm, centered, not trying to impress anyone. He becomes the one people can't stop glancing at. That's the kind of impression your silence can leave. It creates space. It creates questions. She starts to wonder, why hasn't he called? Did he move on? Does he even care anymore? That shift from certainty to curiosity is where attraction often begins to grow again. Your silence doesn't punish. It creates reflection. It hands her back her own thoughts and leaves her to wrestle with what they mean. Without your voice constantly soothing the tension, she starts replaying the moments, starts questioning if she misread your value. That's when your absence begins to echo louder than your presence ever did. Stoic philosopher Seneca said, "Silence is a lesson learned through life's many sufferings." And it's true. Staying silent takes far more strength than shouting your worth. It requires emotional discipline, not for the sake of mind games, but for your own growth. You're not staying quiet to manipulate her thoughts. You're doing it to build your own resilience, to prove to yourself that your peace of mind no longer depends on her attention. So remember, while most are busy chasing, explaining, or proving something, the man who can stay silent often leaves the loudest impression. Number 2, she fills the silence with thoughts. When you go quiet, her mind doesn't stay empty. It fills up. That's just how human psychology works. We're wired to notice absence more than presence. So the moment you stop reaching out, she starts asking herself questions. Why hasn't he called? Is he thinking about me? Did I lose him? These thoughts don't happen all at once. They build slowly, day by day. And the longer you stay silent, the deeper she feels it. It's not because you're playing games. It's because you're giving her mind the space to process what life feels like without your presence in it. Imagine someone always sending you messages, always checking in, always showing up. After a while, your brain gets used to that pattern. You expect the message. You expect the call. But when that pattern breaks, when the silence stretches longer than usual, that's when the emotional impact hits. Her mind starts to loop, wondering what changed. Did you move on? Did you lose interest? Did she push you away without realizing it? This is where Stoicism gives you an advantage. A Stoic man doesn't panic when things go quiet. He doesn't rush to fix emotions or control someone else's thoughts. Like Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. So instead of obsessing over her silence, you let her sit in the space you've created. You trust that absence reveals more than presence sometimes can. And here's the part most men don't realize. When you stay silent, you're not just letting her wonder about you. You're allowing her to feel the emotional weight of missing you. It's no longer about the last thing you said or did. It's about the questions that echo in her mind at night. Did she take you for granted? Did she misread your calm? Is she now chasing a version of you she thought she'd always have? That's why silence isn't weakness. It's not avoidance. It's discipline. It's the art of letting things unfold naturally, without forcing your way into her head. A Stoic man understands. The longer you hold that silence, the more meaningful your presence becomes in her mind. Not because you're there, but because you're not. So if you're watching this right now and wondering whether to break the silence just to check in, pause. Let her fill the silence. Let her feel it. And trust me, she will. If this resonates with you, do me a favor. Tap the like button to support the channel. Leave a comment sharing your thoughts, your experience, or simply type, "Silence speaks louder than chasing," to lock this mindset in. Now, let's move forward and dive deeper into why this quiet strength changes everything. Number 3. The longer you wait, the heavier it feels. Silence has momentum. Each day you don't reach out, the emotional weight builds. Not on you, but on her. It's like Epictetus said, don't explain your philosophy, embody it. Your stillness carries more power than any explanation ever could. And the longer you stay still, the more she feels it. Here's the part most men don't realize. When you step back, when you stop chasing, you're not just creating distance, you're creating space. And a woman will naturally start to fill that space with thoughts, emotions, and questions. Is he over me? Why is he so calm? Did I make a mistake? That's human psychology. We fill silence with imagination. And the longer that silence lasts, the more vivid the imagination becomes. Think about it like this. If you drop a pebble into a pond, the ripples are small at first. But if you let the water settle and then suddenly drop a stone, the impact is much bigger. Your silence works the same way. At first, she might shrug it off. But as time passes and you don't break the silence, the tension builds, the emotions deepen, and the thoughts get louder in her mind. A Stoic man understands this dynamic. He knows that peace is not passive. It's powerful. You're not going silent to punish her or play games. You're doing it because you refuse to beg for attention. You refuse to compromise your dignity just to satisfy someone else's temporary mood. Like Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who did the injury." In other words, don't react emotionally just because she did. Stay grounded. Stay calm. For example, you're dealing with a breakup or a situation where she suddenly pulled away. Most guys panic. They send a flood of messages, trying to fix it, trying to explain themselves. But you step back. You let silence do what words can't. You focus on rebuilding yourself, training your mind, living your life. And all the while, she's left sitting with her own thoughts, realizing that your silence says something louder than words ever could. I am not desperate for your validation. This is why the longer you wait, the heavier it feels. For her, not for you. You're not sitting there trapped in anxiety. You're building strength in the quiet. You're learning patience, control, and self-respect. And when she finally feels that silence deep enough, she'll either reach out or she won't. But either way, you've already won. Because you've chosen peace over panic, discipline over desperation. That's the Stoic advantage. You don't just wait. You wait with purpose. And that kind of silence? It's unforgettable. Number 4, you become a mystery again. When you're always available, always texting, always explaining yourself, you stop being exciting. You become like a song that's been played too many times. Predictable, familiar, and people rarely treasure what feels ordinary. But the moment you pull back, the moment you choose silence instead of constant connection, that's when you become a mystery again. And mystery is powerful. It creates space for imagination. When you're not explaining yourself, she starts wondering, what's on his mind? Why did he stop reaching out? Has he moved on? The silence speaks louder than words because it forces her to fill in the blanks. And often, those blanks are filled with emotions she didn't expect to feel. Doubt, curiosity, even longing. Marcus Aurelius said, "The more we value things outside our control, the less control we have." So instead of chasing after her, you step back and let things unfold naturally. You protect your peace and allow her to feel your absence, not because you're playing games, but because you've remembered your worth. Imagine this. She checks her phone at night, scrolling through old messages, wondering why you're not there anymore. She replays moments in her mind, because silence leaves her no other option. You've given her time to reflect, not just on you, but on how she treated you, on what she might have taken for granted. And that reflection, it's heavy, because the longer you stay silent, the deeper she feels it. Letting go of the need to control the narrative makes you unpredictable again. And in relationships, unpredictability in the right measure sparks attraction. So breathe, be still, and understand. Your silence is doing more than you think. It's not emptiness. It's presence without noise. And often, that's what leaves the biggest impact. Number 5, she's wrestling with herself, not you. Here's something most men forget. When a woman goes quiet too, she's not just testing you. She's testing herself. Can I move on? Do I still care? Why am I thinking about him more when he's the one who's silent? That's her private battle. And trust me, it gets louder the longer you stay silent. Most guys panic at this point. They assume her silence means it's over. So they break the tension by texting first, calling first, trying to get clarity. But a Stoic man? He doesn't do that. He understands that not every storm needs his rescue. He lets her face her own reflection in that silence, because that's where real feelings rise to the surface. Picture standing in front of a still lake. If you throw a stone, you disturb the water, right? That's what most men do when they rush to reach out. They create ripples where there should be calm. But the Stoic man? He lets the water remain still. He knows that silence is where the mind starts to reflect. And that's exactly what's happening with her. She's not lying awake at night, wrestling with you. She's wrestling with herself, with her thoughts, with her emotions. She's asking herself if she made the right decision, if she gave up too soon, if she underestimated the value of your presence. And the longer you stay silent, the deeper she feels it, because now there's nothing interrupting her inner dialogue. Let her go through that. Let her feel the contrast between who you were when you were always available and who you are now, calm, centered, and unbothered by the temporary silence. As Marcus Aurelius said, "The nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength." Your silence is not weakness. It's control. It's presence without pressure. So don't break the silence just to ease the tension. Stay steady. Let her sit with her thoughts. Because eventually, she'll realize she's not fighting with you. She's fighting with herself over the space you've left behind. And that space? That's where your value starts to grow. Before we move on, take a moment to reflect on this. Are you the man who rushes to break the silence, or are you learning to let the silence work for you? Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is nothing at all. Just hold the line, calmly and confidently, and allow her to face her own emotions without interference. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Have you ever been in a situation where staying silent taught you more than speaking up? Share your experience in the comments, or if you want to lock in this mindset right now, simply type "Silence creates clarity." Let's continue. Number 6. Distance makes her remember. We take what's close for granted. That's just human nature. But when you step back, when you remove your presence from her daily life, that's when something interesting happens. That's when appreciation starts to grow. Think about it. How many times have you only realized how much something mattered after it wasn't there anymore? It's the same with you. Your silence isn't just absence. It's an emotional reset. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You will stop caring what people say about you when you realize how seldom they do." But here's where it gets deeper. In silence, the opposite often happens with someone who once had your attention. When you go quiet, you're no longer part of her daily background noise. You're no longer just another message on her phone. Suddenly, she notices the gap. She wonders where you are, what you're doing, and more importantly, why you're not chasing her like before. That curiosity? It starts growing in the silence. Let's say you're in a room with soft music playing. At first, you might barely notice it because it's always there. But the moment someone switches it off, the room feels different, empty. You realize just how much that sound shaped the atmosphere, even if you weren't fully aware of it. That's what happens when you step back from her life. Your silence creates contrast, and contrast makes things clear. A Stoic man understands this. He knows the power of stillness. He's not pulling back to punish or manipulate. He's pulling back to protect his peace, to give both himself and her the space to reflect. The longer you stay silent, the deeper she feels it. Not because you're forcing her to feel anything, but because nature abhors a vacuum. When you stop filling the space, she starts filling it with thoughts about you. So stay grounded in that silence. Let distance do what words cannot. Give her the gift of missing you, and let her come to her own realizations. That's when the appreciation becomes real, because it wasn't pushed, it was discovered. Number 7. While she's thinking, you're building. This isn't about waiting around. It's not about sitting by the phone, staring at the ceiling, wondering if she'll text you back. No, that's not the mindset of a man who knows his worth. While she's stuck in her thoughts, replaying memories, doubting, overthinking, you're busy doing something far more powerful. You're building yourself, quietly, steadily, like a craftsman working on his life, brick by brick. Think of Marcus Aurelius, who ruled an empire but still found time to journal in silence, to reflect, to refine his mind. That's the energy you bring right now. While she's in her own emotional loop, asking herself, why is he so silent? Does he still care? Did I lose him? You're turning your focus inward. You're sharpening your skills, taking care of your health, pushing forward in your purpose. That's the beauty of the Stoic path. You don't pause your growth for anyone. The longer you stay silent, the deeper she feels it. Because silence creates space. And in that space, curiosity blooms. Mystery returns. Her mind starts filling the gaps with questions you don't need to answer. Meanwhile, your silence isn't empty. It's productive. You're reading that book you've been putting off. You're hitting the gym, starting that project, learning something new. You're becoming a better man, not for her approval, but for your own evolution. Think about the guy who's always chasing, always texting, trying to fix things when a woman pulls away. He loses value because he's reacting emotionally, proving he's dependent on her response for his peace of mind. Now, contrast that with the man who lets go with grace. He goes quiet, not out of bitterness, but out of focus. He lets her think while he builds. And when she finally reaches out again, she's not just talking to the same man she left. She's facing a stronger, sharper version of him. That's what you're doing now. You're not stuck in the same chapter. You're writing the next one. And that's exactly why your silence feels heavier to her over time. Because deep down, she knows. You're not waiting. You're moving forward. Number 8. Feelings last longer than texts. She might forget what you said last week, but she won't forget how you made her feel. And sometimes, silence creates the deepest emotional imprint of all. See, words are like waves. They crash and disappear. But the emotional energy you leave behind, that stays with her, especially when you choose silence over constantly reaching out. When you go silent, you're not just removing words. You're creating an emotional gap, and the human mind hates a vacuum. She starts filling that silence with thoughts, questions, and reflections. Why hasn't he called? Is he thinking about me? Did I lose him? And the longer you stay silent, the deeper she feels it. Because it's no longer about your words. It's about your absence. It's about the feeling of missing you. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When you stay silent, you're not giving her more words to analyze. You're allowing her thoughts to color the situation. And often, those thoughts make her realize your value in ways you never could by constantly texting. Imagine you used to text her every morning. "Good morning. How did you sleep?" Message. At first, it felt sweet, but over time, it became background noise, expected, routine, easy to take for granted. Now imagine you stop, not because you're playing games, but because you've chosen to focus on yourself. You're going to the gym, you're reading, you're working on your business, your mindset, your peace. That's what a Stoic man does. He builds silently while others wonder what he's up to. Days pass. She picks up her phone, half expecting that morning text. It's not there. The routine is broken. And that's when the reflection begins. She starts to miss you, not for the texts themselves, but for the way your attention once made her feel. She wonders if she's losing you. She questions if she should have appreciated you more. All of this happens in the silence you created. That's why feelings last longer than texts. Texts are temporary, but silence forces her to confront her own emotions. It makes her sit with the realization that she might have pushed away someone rare. And the longer you stay silent, not out of spite, but out of calm discipline, the deeper she feels it. So don't rush to fill the void. Don't panic and send that "just checking in" message. Stay still. Stay grounded. Use this time to become stronger, wiser, more focused. Let her feel the silence. Let her reflect. Because in the end, it's not what you said that she'll remember. It's how your absence made her realize your worth. Before we continue, Take a moment to reflect. Have you ever noticed how someone's absence can leave a deeper mark than constant attention? That's exactly what's happening here. She's starting to feel your silence more than she ever felt your words. Drop a comment below. Have you seen this happen in your life? Or just type, "Silence creates realization," to keep this mindset with you. Let's move forward. Number 9. Time always tells the truth. Silence gives time a chance to reveal what words can't. Was it real? Was it one-sided? Did she truly value you? Or was she just comfortable with your attention? By staying calm and quiet, you let the truth rise to the surface naturally. Seneca said it perfectly. Time discovers truth. And sometimes, that discovery takes longer than you expect. But that's exactly why you need patience. When you stay silent, you create a space where real emotions surface. Without the constant messages, without the reassurance, without the usual rhythm of contact, she's left alone with her thoughts. And thoughts grow heavier in silence. She starts to wonder, did I take him for granted? Did he move on? Was he actually more important to me than I realized? That's when reflection kicks in, the kind of reflection no text message can trigger. You see, when a man talks too much after conflict or distance, he interrupts the natural process. He tries to fix things too soon. But a Stoic man knows better. He understands that nature has its seasons. Flowers don't bloom faster just because you shout at them. And the truth about someone's feelings won't reveal itself if you're constantly rushing to fill the silence. Sometimes you have to let time do the talking. Think of it like this. When the waters are stirred, you can't see what's at the bottom. But when the surface becomes still, everything beneath starts to show. That's what silence does in relationships. It calms the emotional noise and allows clarity to appear. It's in that stillness where you both find out what's real and what's not. Maybe she realizes she misses you. Maybe she recognizes the weight of your absence. Or maybe, just maybe, she realizes she was only comfortable, not committed. Either way, silence will uncover the truth. And that truth, whether pleasant or painful, will set you free. This is why the longer you stay silent, the deeper she feels it. Because the longer you stay still, the more gravity your silence holds. You're not just ignoring her. You're allowing space for the real answers to emerge, on her side and on yours. A Stoic man doesn't fear time. He doesn't panic when things get quiet. He knows that life reveals what needs to be revealed, and rushing only clouds the process. So while she's questioning, while she's reflecting, you're staying grounded. You're focused on your growth. You're becoming stronger, calmer, and more self-assured. In the end, time always tells the truth. And you, calm, patient, and grounded in your own value, you'll be ready for whatever truth that silence brings. Number 10. Calm confidence stays with her. At the end of the day, it's not just that you stayed silent, it's how you did it. Calm, controlled, no drama, no bitterness. That kind of energy leaves a mark. You're not punishing her, you're protecting your peace. And trust me, she'll feel that long after the silence begins. Most people go silent with tension in their chest. They disappear to spark guilt or to play mind games. But when your silence comes from genuine inner control, from a place of grounded confidence, it creates a very different effect. You're not running away. You're standing still, like a tree in the storm, unshaken by temporary emotions. That's what she feels deep down. Not just the silence itself, but the calm weight behind it. Imagine for a second that she's scrolling through her messages. Maybe she's expecting to see your name pop up, some long paragraph explaining yourself, or a casual, "Hey, just checking in." But it doesn't come. Instead, you stay centered. You don't reach out. And not because you're angry, but because you've chosen stillness over chaos. She starts to wonder, why is he so at peace without me? That's the moment the silence starts to echo. Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." And she's in that phase now, wondering, imagining, replaying moments in her head. That's when your calmness starts to weigh heavier than any words could. You're not arguing. You're not trying to convince her of your worth. You're letting your absence highlight it for you. This isn't passive, it's powerful. Because while she's tangled in thoughts, you're focused on becoming stronger. You're pouring energy into your work, your purpose, your growth. That's what sets you apart from the average man who gets lost chasing validation. You're not in that game anymore. You've stepped into something higher. Emotional discipline. And believe me, she notices, she might not admit it right away. Pride often gets in the way. But over time, the memory of your calm silence lingers longer than any dramatic argument or emotional text ever would. She remembers how you chose peace over panic, how you let go without losing yourself. And that's something she won't easily forget. Because the longer you stay silent, not out of weakness, but out of inner strength, the deeper she feels it. At the end of the day, brother, this isn't about silence for the sake of silence. It's about presence without pressure. It's about learning to stand still in a world that expects you to chase, to fix, to explain. And the truth is, the longer you stay silent, not out of anger, not out of bitterness, but out of calm confidence, the deeper she feels it. Not just because you're absent, but because your absence carries the weight of your growth. This is the part where you stop worrying about how she'll react and start focusing on who you're becoming. Let her wrestle with her thoughts while you build yourself quietly. Let her feel the shift while you evolve. That's not a game. That's power rooted in discipline. It's the Stoic way. If you found value in this video, do me a favor. Hit that like button to support the channel. Drop a comment below and share your thoughts. Have you ever experienced this kind of shift in silence? I read every comment, and I'd love to hear your story. And don't stop here. Check out the videos on screen now. They'll help you go even deeper into this mindset of strength, stillness, and real masculine growth. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay grounded, stay disciplined, and protect your peace.